What's up, guys? So it is the new year. Happy 2024. And for many people, it's a time of reflection. It's a time to take stock of your goals and make a list of things you want to accomplish and achieve. And for many people, that includes buying a home. As a nurse with a family working and living in Toronto, life is expensive. Toronto is expensive. We're currently renting and it serves us well at the moment, but there are times that we wish we had more space, especially storage and counter space in the kitchen. But honestly, I won't bore you with that stuff. There are also times when we talk about possibly purchasing a house for our family. Interest rates have risen and house prices in Toronto are ridiculously expensive. According to a survey by Mercer.com, Toronto ranks as the 90th most expensive city to live in, ranking first overall in Canada, with home prices averaging $1 million. So, is this the right time to buy? Should you get into the housing market this year? I'm going to go through reasons for why you should or shouldn't buy this year, and I'll let you know ultimately what the most important factor is when determining if you should buy a house. The first factor you need to consider before purchasing a home is your own bank account. Do you have the money for it?
Show me the money! Show me the money!
With houses in the Greater Toronto Area or the GTA selling at seven-figure price points, you'll need a pretty substantial down payment to make your mortgage work. I'm not a mortgage expert, but for a house in Ontario that's under $1 million, you will need to have a down payment of at least 20%, or you'll be required to purchase mortgage insurance. You may have to purchase the mortgage insurance even with a 20% down payment if you happen to be self-employed or have bad credit. And for many people, this is just not feasible. According to ZipRecruiter.com, the average person in Ontario makes just under $55,000 a year before taxes. That means you're probably banking just under $3,600 a month. And that is definitely not enough to cover your monthly payments of a mortgage that's $800,000. And that's assuming that your house was $1 million and you had that 20% down. But say you are married like I am, or you have a partner. Even with the dual income at the provincial average salary, your monthly take home of $7,200 would barely cover your mortgage, property tax, and utilities required to purchase a home. Your own financial situation should be your primary factor in deciding if buying a home this year is possible. Another thing to consider in making a home purchase is the interest rate. Leading up to the pandemic, mortgage interest rates in Canada were in the 3% range, while during the pandemic, the Bank of Canada dropped their key interest rate to 0.25, leading to a record soaring home prices due to the bank literally giving out free money.
There you go. Thank you, sir. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Unfortunately, for many Canadians, the rise in cost of living coincided with the record levels of inflation. So, to counterbalance that, the Bank of Canada rapidly increased their key interest rates in the last 18 months to 5 points, which is where we sit today. A 2.5 to 3% hike in interest may not seem like a lot from a numerical standpoint, but depending how much money you borrow for this home, it can be a difference of $2,000 to $3,000. And with that being said, high interest rates tend to lead to a buyer's market since more buyers are sidelined due to the higher borrowing costs. If you have the ability to take on the higher rates at the moment, you may be able to pay a little less for a home. Unfortunately, home prices in the city of Toronto haven't declined much, but surrounding suburbs of the city, especially in the 905 area code, have seen a drop in home values. You can borrow less and hopefully in a few years, mortgage rates drop again and you'll end up paying less interest on a lower principal. A third factor in determining if this is the year to buy is selection. With less buyers, it can also mean there are less sellers because most people who sell will need somewhere to live. And if people aren't looking to buy, they aren't looking to sell. Now, if this is your first home, you probably shouldn't be too picky. You can't get everything you want in your beginner home unless you have endless amounts of money or you just got it like that. But if you are more established and have the ability to pick and choose the type of home you want and the location you want to live at, you may have to consider that in a buyer's market, there may not be as much choice. You may have to make contingencies and you might not be able to get that kitchen you've always wanted while also living in the best school district. project. So this is definitely something to consider. But if you are a first-time home buyer, the Canadian government recently introduced the FHSA, and this is a tax-free savings account for first-time home buyers. Starting late last year, you could put up to $8,000 per year into an FHSA account and invest the money without having to pay annual taxes on your capital gains. On top of that, any money put into this type of account up to $8,000 is tax deductible. In total, $40,000 can be invested lifetime without having to pay taxes on your interest gains. That means it would take you 5 years of investing $8,000 to max out the account. And personally, I think it's quite minimal in terms of the amount of money you can make from it. You would have to be an aggressive investor to flip $40,000, but every dollar counts, especially if you are starting with nothing. And with GICs hovering around 5%, your $16,000, which is the max you can have in your FHSA at the moment, would bank you an extra $800 a year tax-free. Of course, with some more savvy investing strategies and a bit of luck, you can make more. But the FHSA does give you another way to save for your first home purchase. So if you are saving and looking to get into the market this year, you may want to consider using this tool to save a little bit more before you buy that first home. By using this account and waiting, the mortgage interest rates may also drop in the coming years, further saving you money for that big purchase. But the most important factor for determining if you should buy a home this year is thinking, does owning a home fit my lifestyle and the quality of life that I want? This is something that so many people don't consider when putting down that big lump sum of money and signing away 25 years of debt to the bank. Society says home ownership means you've made it. You are somebody. But owning a home, especially in today's market, is a huge financial commitment and a huge undertaking. And it can be draining financially, emotionally, mentally, and physically. $1 million is a lot of money for the average Canadian, and that's getting you the bare minimum in the housing market. A detached home is costing you closer to $2 million. The phrase house poor has more meaning today than ever. I know many people who own homes who don't do much outside of work and stay home. They don't travel, they don't eat out or go out because most of their money is tied up and it has to go back into their home. When you own a home, you have to make sure your monthly mortgage payments are paid. There's not much wiggle room there. You have to maintain your house, so if something breaks or there's a leak in your home, you have to pay to fix it.
All night long.
There's property tax, home insurance, and renovations that need to be made. There are a lot of costs associated with home ownership, and it truly adds up. As much as my husband and I want to buy a home for our family, we also acknowledge that we enjoy our family outings, dining out, and ability to travel. Renting does have its cons, but it does give you more flexibility in terms of cash flow, and cash flow is key. But honestly, that is another video. It doesn't mean we don't want to buy a house, but at the moment, it's not necessarily right for our lifestyle. We want to buy at a time in our lives where we won't have to sacrifice the other aspects of our lives. So you really have to consider what it is that you want from life. A house is a shelter. Home ownership is a very emotional purchase for a lot of people. So you have to weigh the pros and the cons and really do the math, crunch the numbers, and think about, do you like to travel every year, multiple times a year? Do you enjoy nights out on the town, or do you like staying home? Do you enjoy the comfort of knowing that you have a home that you can go back to and relax in after a long day or a long week at work? A place that you can decorate and renovate to your own liking? Or is flexibility in your life not as important? Your lifestyle should be the biggest factor in deciding on buying a home this year. If you are truly considering buying a home, do it for the right reasons. Don't get caught up in all the noise. At the end of the day, realtors are salesmen. They will tell you a narrative that will benefit their bottom line. The government will implement policies that may seem like they benefit you, but they do it for their own political gains. Economists can't predict the markets any more than a weatherman can predict the weather. You have to take all of that information, process it, and make the most logical decision based on what works for you right now and where you want to be in the next 10 years. Don't have FOMO. If you plan to work remotely or you want to explore living abroad, then buying a house probably isn't isn't the move. If you have a family and want to plant roots in a community, have a level of consistency for your kids, and you can afford it, then buying a home this year might not be a bad idea. It all comes down to what you want. And don't look at the home you live in as an investment. That's the worst reason to buy a home you live in. Can your primary dwelling go up in value? Absolutely. It can be a great safety net for you in the future or for your kids down the line. But if you view it as an investment, then you need to prepare yourself for the potential drop in value.
The housing market is propped up on these bad loans. It's a time bomb.
Let's just say speculators are one of the many reasons that Canada is one of the biggest housing bubbles in the world right now. But honestly, I won't go down that rabbit hole. I hope that this video has given you some insight into your decision making. Have I changed your mind? Did this video make you think about something that you hadn't before? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like and share with your friends and family. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.